Hello everybody, I'm your host, Eric Bird, here at StopStrugglingNow.com. And today, we got a special for the authorized user trade lines. Those of you who want to boost your credit score, well, here's the special. If you get an authorized user trade line today in the next 48 hours, you get a choice. It has to be $997 or more for the AU trade line, and you either get free credit sweep or free inquiry removal. We're going to talk about it. So please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. Now, let's get to it. All right, welcome back. So today, the AU trade line special. Once again, I'll repeat, you got 48 hours from this recording to get in on an AU trade line. If you're going to order one, if you spend $997 or more for a trade line or a trade line package together, then you get a choice. Free credit repair, credit sweep, or a hard inquiry removal. You get to pick one of those. And for everybody who sees this video after 48 hours, then you need to contact me at Eric at StopStrugglingNow.com. And then maybe I'll have a special for you too. So let's get down to the AUs, because I get questions all the time. How long does an authorized user trade line stay on a person's credit report? 3 to 4 months is what we guarantee. That's all we can say. 90 to 120 days. So you have to use them to your advantage. You have to be ready to boost your score. What I mean is you can get an AU trade line, a couple of primary trade lines, do your credit repair at the same time, but you cannot have alerts. You cannot have fraud alerts. You cannot have credit freezes. That's not going to help you, because sometimes the AU trade lines will not post, and even primary trade lines may not post. So therefore, if you're using a credit repair agency already and they started freezing your the 3 credit bureaus, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. You can freeze LexisNexis, Innovis, things like that. But we're talking about the big 3, the ones that calculate your big 3 scores. You cannot have fraud alerts, any police reports, anything on your account like that when you're trying to get AUs or primary trade lines, because they're cracking down. They're trying not to post whenever somebody's credit file is in flux. So just keep all that in mind when you're trying to get AU trade lines, primary trade lines, and people are saying, well, I bought something and it didn't post. That may be because you have a fraud alert, or you got a credit freeze of some sort on one of the 3 major credit bureaus. And also, if you already have credit with an agency, let's just say a My Jewelers, let's say an Ox Publishing, and then you do a credit freeze or a fraud alert, they may take off they may not report anymore. These are the kind of things that you have to look for. These are the kind of things you have to understand. This credit game, how they're trying to manipulate you into having a higher score. So you have to understand how this works. So while we're talking about that, we'll go to the primary trade lines as well. So look down below in the description and you'll see plenty of opportunities on how you can get your score increased, how you can boost your credit. So that's all we're going to talk about right now. But again, the AU trade line special, you can go to the website, www.stopstrugglingnow.com, and you just go to /AU-trade lines, and you'll see some trade lines. Whatever date you see does not really matter. If it says December, if it says October, it doesn't really matter, because we do the same trade lines every month. We just have 3 or 4 spots left. So there's usually a spot for somebody if you want an AU trade line. So that's all I'm trying to say. But if you're seeing this message after November 12th, after November 14th, 2019, you need to contact me if you want to find out if we have any specials for when you order an AU trade line. So hear me again. Just contact me if you're going to order an AU trade line. And you also contact me to find out about a trade line. And most of you don't understand what's happening when we're talking about you. Send me a message going, hey Eric, I need an AU trade line. I say no problem, but you're not understanding. We need to see your credit file. So whether you're gonna let us log into like a Credit Karma or your Identity IQ, you're gonna have to give up some information, because we cannot go by you telling us, well, I only owe $2,500 in collections. I have a credit limit of $10,000 and I owe $5,000. We have to see what the credit reporting agency is actually reporting. What you're telling me could be true, but we still have to verify it, so then we can give you the proper advice. Sending me an email telling me, hey Eric, this is what I owe, this is kind of my payment history, this, that, and the other. You got to understand, we need to know what these things are. You guys just can't keep, writing me a letter about it. I need to see it. Just like any credit repair agency needs to see your credit file. So don't even try to contact me unless you're willing to either A, take screenshots and send me what I need, or B, let me log into Credit Karma, Identity IQ, whatever you want to use, so we can actually see your credit file and understand not all three credit agencies do not report the same thing. That's why you have different scores. They all are treated a little bit differently. And in fact, somebody sent me something today or yesterday where one of the credit reporting agencies had 2 collections. The other credit reporting agency had only 1 collection. So therefore, depending on what you're trying to do, if the one had a lower amount, then we'll attack that one differently. We'll know, go get TransUnion, and we have a different advice for what you need to do for your TransUnion score. It's not going to be the same advice that might be for the other one that might be an Experian that has like 2 or 3 collections. Therefore, we have to give you different advice, and we have things that report on TransUnion and Equifax, or Equifax only, or TransUnion only. So these are the kind of things that you have to think about. It's pretty simple. All right? So this is all I'm trying to tell you. Get with the AU, Authorized User Tradelines. Watch the previous video. There'll be a link down below, and you'll maybe understand. I'm trying to think of any other questions that I usually get, besides the one of how long it stays on there. That's the major question of all the times that when I get an email first. And the second one is, why you always want my social security number or need my login information. So those are the 2. Now, there's other things that come into play as well when we're trying to help people out with their credit scores and credit repair. And of course, I'm doing this all for free. I'm not even charging you anything. And some of the people are giving me grief. But that's okay. You can't be too safe out here, because you don't want people having your credit information and possibly doing something with it. So it's good to ask questions. And sometimes if you don't feel comfortable with giving out that information, then so be it. But on the other side of the coin, when you do get an AU trade line, then there's going to be such questions as your social security number. You're going to need to give your address. You're going to have to get an Identity IQ or a credit check total account. You can't use Credit Karma in this instance once you get an AU trade line, because what will happen is if somebody says that it didn't post, then we have to be able to log in and show you that it is posted, because sometimes they don't update. You have to manually update the accounts in Identity IQ and credit check total. So these are the kind of things that people don't realize. So these are the kind of factors that come into play. Now, as far as boosting your credit score, people ask me, how long does it take for my score to increase? Well, it all depends on what we're trying to do. Basically, if you need your score to increase, let's say, what is it? Today's the 12th of November. And you say, hey, I need my score to increase by December 1st, then that means we're going to get an AU trade line that you need to get no later than about the 19th of the month. So that means in the next 6 days, 2 days before the statement date, we need to get you posted. So in other words, you have to pay by the 18th for a card that statement date is on the 20th, because it's going to post anywhere from the 27th to the 30th. That's about the latest we can do to get it to post in this date. So that's all you have to keep in mind, is that's how fast we can get things posted, and that's how fast your credit score can increase. Because we're going to utilize 30% is your debt utilization, 35% is your payment history, and then if you add age to that, you've got 80% of your score that you can affect with an AU trade line, and then it could be mixed credit. So you can, in essence, get 90%, almost full credit, and you can boost your score up depending on how low or how high it is. You can get a lot of points for it based on getting an AU trade line to offset any derogatory collections or to offset any high debt utilization. Because the lower you get to zero for debt utilization, the better it is. The more age you have till you get closer to 7 years, the better it is. Payment history, more age, the better it is. So you can boost your credit score up. Age trumps everything. So age does matter. So some people say, hey, Eric, I need a $20,000 limit. And I sit there and say, okay, that's fine. We have no problem with that. But the thing is, you get more effective results if it was like 5 years old and a $20,000 trade line. And yes, it might cost you $1,300, $1,400, but the thing is, your score can pop a little harder, and then your score can go a little higher. And so therefore, there's a big difference between a $20,000 limit and only have like 6 months to a year, because you're only going to have 6 months worth of payments. You're going to only have 6 months worth of age, and your age is averaged out over the long term. So if all of you have 2 accounts, I'll use an example. You have 2 accounts, and your age history right now is 2 years. So that means you basically have 4 years, but because you have 2 accounts, it breaks down to 2 years. You add a third account with 10 years, now you do the average. So now you have 14 years divided by 3, and now you just moved up to 4.5 years. So that's how simple you can change your credit equation that easily. So these are the kind of things, and the reason why we need to see your credit report and your credit scores, and we need to get them. So that's why we like to see it in person versus you telling us. So that's it. The AU trade line special. Don't miss it. 48 hours. Get your free inquiry removal or get free credit repair. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And please share on all social media. And please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. And you know it's hard out here. That's why you always have to keep improving yourself, whether it's financially, physically, mentally. So keep your head up, keep moving, and I'm out.